First, it's been extremely cold outside. We've had some cold weather come through, and it looks like it's going to be even colder the week ahead. So make sure everybody stays safe, take precautions, make sure your pipes don't freeze, use common sense and safety when you have your electric heaters on, and things like that. Keep your pets safe and out of the cold. Make sure you check in on your neighbors, your elderly neighbors, people with disabilities, things like that. Just pop in and make sure everything's okay, make sure everybody's safe. And being that it's cold, if you're like me and my family, you're probably getting a little stir crazy. Unless you take advantage of all the amazing things we have indoor here in Norman. That includes Firehouse Art Center. They have amazing classes going on all the time. They have classes for veterans. They have classes for youth, elderly, people with disabilities, all kinds of amazing things always going on there. Our YFAC is an amazing facility. It's all kinds of amazing events going on there. We currently have youth basketball going on, which the city broke a record this year. We have over 1,700 kids enrolled out there playing, so that's an amazing thing right there for sure. We also have spring volleyball coming up. Let's see, youth volleyball begins on April 1st. The early registration is January 31st. We have baseball and softball coming up. Early registration for softball is in 2 weeks, I think. That league begins April 7th. We have our brand new soccer complex. So soccer is about to get going out there. So all kinds of amazing things going on here in Norman for that. Next, I'm a member of quite a few groups on Facebook that do community watch. There's Norman Neighbors, there's Norman Community Page, there's all kinds, and these pages are an amazing resource if you see crimes and things going on. And one thing that came to my attention because of these groups is there's currently a TikTok challenge where teenagers are going around vandalizing cars, smashing windows out of cars, stealing the things that are inside it. Now, we've always had issues with people breaking into cars and things, but this TikTok thing, people reached out to me. I contacted Chief Foster. He is working with the MPD has their criminal investigation division looking into this, as well as PACE. PACE is a group of officers that concentrate their efforts on transients and homeless individuals and try to prevent that kind of crime. But they're asking if you have any videos, if you have any pictures, if you're the victim of one of these crimes, reach out to NPD because that's what it takes. If we want a safer city, we all have to look out for each other. We have to look out for our neighbors. We have to protect our own. And one way to, and that's how you do it. So I've said this numerous times, but NPD bases their patrol schedule off of the calls they receive. So if you want more police in your neighborhood, you want a safer neighborhood, you have to call, you have to make the reports, you have to be involved. So next, I just want to take a minute and offer our prayers to the people in California. The fires there, if you've seen it, the death toll last I saw this morning was up to 24 people. It's the most expensive wildfire in U.S. history. Probably going to be one of the most expensive disasters in U.S. history. But we're lucky here in Oklahoma. Our state has some amazing leadership. We care about our people, and our city is no different. But when we have a disaster like this happens, it's important that we look at what we can do to prevent these things from happening here and to make sure we're prepared if it happens here. So I reached out to Mr. Mattingly. I reached out to Chief King. And in Norman, we have 7,052 fire hydrants. We only have 4 fire hydrants that have a call or a maintenance or out for maintenance right now. We have our departments inspect 40 to 100 fire hydrants every month. And our lake, we have water in our lake. Mr. Mattingly told me that our lake is about 6 inches above normal for this time of year. So even if we have a hot, dry summer, we are looking really good. So I just want to say how proud I am of our city for taking safety. I mean, it's paramount. So Mr. Mattingly, Chief King, Chief Foster, all of our department heads and all these guys that work every day behind the scenes to make sure that we're safe and to make sure that our city is prepared for emergencies, keep it up. I'm very grateful and very proud of all of you guys. And the last thing I want to talk about, last week there was a 27-year-old young man who passed away in Cleveland County. And what a lot of y'all may not know is this individual was my nephew's biological father. He had a lot of issues. He made a lot of bad choices. He was addicted to drugs. He had some mental health issues going on. But despite all that, he was in a place where he should have been protected. He deserved to be there, and the society deserved to be protected from him, but he also deserved to be protected and not to have the drugs and the addictions to be able to come in there and then basically end his life. And, you know, that's a failure that, you know, we're all going to have to live with. And I'm waiting for the reports to come out. I've talked to people that were inside there with him. It was more than like, it was a fentanyl overdose, is what it was. And fentanyl is, I've talked about it before. We're allowing it to come into this country, and it's destroying lives. I talked to this young man a few times the past few years because he lost his children. My in-laws raised his kids, and he would call me, and I would try to help him to be a better person and to understand what it took to be a father and what it meant to take accountability. And I was always there to, at least because they weren't allowed to tell him about his kids, legal reasons. And so I was always there I could at least tell him that his kids were doing good and just to be there for him. But when I see all the failures that led up to his death, and I'm not just talking about Cleveland County, I'm talking about when he was homeless here, and the counselor who sat in this seat before me would go out to his campsite with my sister-in-law and take them clean needles and take them clean pipes. I mean, she'd also take him a sandwich and a shovel so he could bury his poop and they could bury their poop. But all they did, that counselor, enabled his addiction. When I see people up here advocate for safe drug kits and taking away people's accountability and making the people dependent on our shelters and handouts, that's a failure. And when we know for a fact that 65% of our homeless people here in Norman suffer from drug addiction, and they suffer from mental health issues, and we think that they're capable of making the decision to get out of that situation by themselves, we're fooling ourselves, and we are failing them. So I just want everybody here to think about those things and how fast a life can end and how fast as a young kid will never have a chance to have a better father because so many things failed. And it was his choice. And ultimately, he's being held accountable. But there's a lot of pieces that failed too that need to be held accountable as well. And it's not compassionate to let these people slowly commit suicide out here with drugs and addiction. So that's all I have on that. But other than that, I'm glad to be back, and let's move forward. Thanks.
Council member?